Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. Yes, it is the weekend recap of all the top stories that we brought you here on Crime Talk. These are stories, the top stories from the week of January 8th of 2024. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Crime Talk. Enjoy.
Hi, lawyer.
Somebody didn't get the Kohberger memo. That's right, the memo about TV in the courtroom. So a Spokane, Washington TV station, specifically KXLY, asked the court for permission to take video and still photographs of Kohberger's upcoming hearing on January 26th. Well, had they not read the court order? Apparently not. Anyway, the judge denied it promptly, and he attached a copy of his November 17th, 2023 order in which he granted Kohberger's request to remove media cameras from the courtroom, but said that the court would stream the proceeding on its own. And the judge is expected to live stream future hearings as well on the YouTube channel. Now, in his November order, the judge accused the media of violating his request not to exclusively zoom in on Kohberger's face and not to record before or after court sessions. And since in Idaho, you can't appeal a judge's denial of access to the courtroom, this decision's been made. Very odd to me that something affecting everyone's constitutional rights there in Idaho wouldn't have any appellate review. Maybe somebody in the Idaho legislature should take a look at that. Anyway, so the court's going to take the matters in their own hands, and they're going to handle all the viewing. So instead of having the professionals, they're going to have a quality sound to it. And obviously, if people violate the court order, kick those people out. But why punish everybody, right? The public is interested in this criminal court proceedings. And, given the fact that the taxpayers are footing the bill for this, the people of Idaho have a right to see the proceedings. And we do know so far that the public records have revealed that the part of Kohberger's defense as of last year, for the last 3 quarters of it, well, it's a paltry $270,000 in the first 3 quarters, not including the last quarter. Now, obviously, there's no word on the cost of the prosecution thus far. A little more difficult because obviously you got people that are on salary, but there's going to be lots of experts, and if you put all the time and energy into it, that's a lot of money. I think the people have a right to know if the prosecution's doing a good job, did the defense do a good job, and if the defense sucked, should we demand some of that $270,000 back? Well, probably not, but they're doing their job. I think we have a right to see it. Hey, by the way, for all you ladies out there that just can't get enough of old Bryan Kohberger, don't forget to send him a birthday card. He turns 29 this week. Please don't send him a birthday card. All right, next on the docket, Gypsy Rose. I'm going to say it. I'm tired of Gypsy Rose. She needs to go away. Guess what she was doing? Now, I guess things changed in Missouri because I got clients on parole. They won't let them leave anywhere, right? You gotta, when you get out on parole, normally you get a job, you settle in, and you get a job. That's it. There's not a whole lot of traveling. But old Gypsy Rose, no, not her. She attended the premiere of her new 6-part documentary series with her new husband in New York City on Friday. And it was their first, I'm sure, of many red carpet events to come. So just 1 week after getting out of prison on parole, Gypsy celebrated the release of the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard about her now infamous life story. Now, she and her husband, Ryan Anderson, both apparently got all decked out for this so that they could watch her story of her being imprisoned under horrific abuse as a child and later for her role in her mother's violent murder. Now, Ryan, the school teacher, who I'm sure makes a modest income, wed Gypsy back in July of 22, and he was also at the premiere, and they were taking such cute photos together. Look at that. Anyway, they put on quite the public display of affection, and they were also, engaged in lots of PDA. How cute. Now, as you may think, Gypsy's been catapulted to celebrity status as people are following her on the internet. Now, because of her limelight on her husband, she was forced to defend Ryan against the trolls leaving negative comments on their respective social media pages. While doing so, she gave some sex details as it relates to their private life. In the comment section of a recent selfie Ryan shared on Instagram, Gypsy told him to ignore the haters before adding that her husband is rocking her world on a nightly basis. Ryan, don't listen to the haters, she began. I love you, and you love me. She continued about how they don't owe anyone anything, and that's our family is what matters. If you get likes and good comments, great. If you get hate, then whatever, because they don't matter. I love you. Besides, they jealous because you are rocking my world every night. Yeah, I said it. The D is fire. Happy wife, happy life. So anyway, like I said, the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard premiered on Lifetime on January 5th and is available for streaming now. Oh, but don't forget, she also has that new ebook release called Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. Was released Tuesday, and it is Gypsy saying that her super fans' social media post declared she didn't belong in prison and they wish that they could bust her out. So guess what? That triggered the staff at the correctional facility that she was in to put her into isolation because they believed that she was going to be busted out of jail. Well, the ebook features a collection of letters, phone transcripts, and photos from her prison stay and was written with two other authors who were ultimately later interviewed her in jail. I wish her well. She had a crummy childhood. Guess what? I have had a lot of people that I know, mostly clients, but other people I know, had a totally crappy childhood. And in some cases, I would say even worse than what Gypsy Rose had. They didn't kill their parents. Let's get it straight. She conspired to kill her mom. That's it. I get it. She's got some good information. Good mitigation, I mean. It's a sad story. But guess what? I try to sell my client's sad story to judges on a daily basis, to prosecutors. And they're like, ooh, play me a little violin. And they'll literally say, don't care about your crappy childhood. Did you know what they were doing? Did they know what they were doing when they committed the crime? That's what prosecutors normally care about. She got her break. You'd think she would just want to go away quietly. I think this is going to end ugly. That's just me, but I wish her well. But I would think that, when you get out of prison for conspiring to kill your mom, you shouldn't possibly be on the A list of people to hang out with. She's not. She may think she is, but she's not, okay? She has no real talent. She has no skill other than convincing someone else to kill her mom. I think it's probably time for her, if she didn't get some education while she was in prison, to go complete something, trade school, go to college, better herself. But to think that she's going to make a living being an Instagram influencer, I don't know. I think it's coming to an end. I'll leave it at that. Let me know if you disagree or, Scott, you suck. I get it. All right, next. If you can afford a $750,000 bond, I don't think you should get court-appointed counsel. Tell me if I'm wrong. So a Nevada judge has set bail in the amount of $750,000 for the former gang leader, also known as Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who's charged with orchestrating the killing of Tupac Shakur back in 1996, saying that he can serve house arrest with electronic monitoring ahead of his trial on the murder charge. The court-appointed attorneys for old Mr. Davis told the reporters outside the courthouse after the hearing that the judge's decision that they believe Davis can post that amount, and they had asked obviously for bail not more than $100,000, and noted that the judge demands preparing a defense based upon 2 decades of evidence may require postponement of the current jury trial date. Wow, I need to find judges like that. Judge, let my client out, because otherwise you're just going to have to sit and linger in custody until we get up to speed for that. Wow, that has never, ever been a factor that I think I've seen a judge consider. Anyway, the district attorney expects the court to also hold what they refer to as a source hearing to determine the legitimate means of money posted to post the bail to make sure it was legally obtained. I've never seen one of these done, at least in my practice, but apparently they used to be quite the rage back in the 80s down in Miami when there was so much drug money running around that attorneys would literally be showing up with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in cash from drug clients, and then the IRS tried to seize it, and the DOJ would take the money, etc. So we'll see where the money was obtained. Usually the judge will say, none of my business. He posted it. He's on the hook. If he doesn't show up, the state gets the $750,000. Now, Mr. Davis does not have a new trial date yet, but there is a status conference set for the 20th of February. Now, the prosecutors in their failing argument stated that Mr. Davis has never left the gang life and that his 15 years of admissions about his role in the death of Shakur shows he is guilty of murder, and jailhouse phone calls back in October suggest that he possesses a threat to witnesses. The prosecutor also noted that Mr. Davis has consistently admitted to being the architect of the murder. So the defense attorneys for Mr. Davis argued that if this was such a strong case and that Mr. Davis was such a threat to the community for the last 15 years, why did it take 15 years to arrest him? And the prosecutors were wrong in their interpretation of the jailhouse calls and a list of names provided to Davis's family, apparently on that call referring to the witnesses. The defense lawyers said it's Davis and his family that are actually at risk. And hey, not to mention, their client is 60 years old, in poor health, and actually battling cancer, which fortunately is in remission. And he's not going to flee anywhere because he wants his trial, apparently. And like I said, if his guilt was so overwhelming, why didn't they arrest him 15 years ago? The court kind of tended to agree, let him out, $750,000 bond, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to know that if you save your pennies being a drug/gang dealer, when the time comes, you can come up with $750,000. Which brings me to my point of, if you can pay that, you shouldn't be getting court-appointed counsel, private court-appointed counsel, might I add. If he can post that, he can go pay for his own attorneys. As you remember, the private attorneys didn't show up because Mr. Green didn't show up. And we can't do anything without Mr. Green showing up. That's why Ross Goodman didn't get on the case. Next on the docket, is it Nicholas Godejohn's time to speak? Well, one thing we know, Gypsy Rose, she can pick 'em, right? Well, the killer ex-boyfriend of Gypsy Rose, Blanchard, who fatally stabbed Gypsy's mother with a knife, referred to himself as Mr. Smiley and refused to mention his now famous girlfriend, Gal Pal, in a kind of bizarre email to the Post, the newspaper. Now, apparently the email was written in response to a question by the newspaper reporter in regards to the documentary that aired. Mr. Godejohn wanted people to know, quote, "I want people to know that I am not lost in the ether of all of what is going on, with whom shall not be named. I'm just being patient for my true time to speak." Nicholas Godejohn. He wrote that from his prison cell in Missouri. Now, Mr. Godejohn has been somewhat silenced since Miss Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison on parole last month for convincing him to kill her mother following the years of medical abuse at the hands of Gypsy Rose's mom, Dee Dee. Now, before the murder, Blanchard's mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, forced her to pretend that she was suffering from leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and a slew of other ailments. Now, Gypsy Rose met Mr. Godejohn in 2012 on a Christian dating site, and she hid in the bathroom as Mr. Godejohn fatally stabbed her mother. Now, during Mr. Godejohn's trial, Miss Gypsy Rose testified that she did, in fact, persuade him to knife her abusive mother. So when everyone says that she's a victim, I beg to differ. I'm just saying that's conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Anyway, back to the email from Mr. Godejohn. When asked by the newspaper reporter what Mr. Godejohn thought of her newfound fame, referring to Gypsy, her marital escapades, and what life has been like behind bars, he said, quote, "I must be conscientious about my decisions." Now you are. Anyway, a lot of these questions will be answered in the foreseeable interview at the right time, which is not now. Now, Godejohn appeared polite and somewhat childlike in the email, using what they refer to as the smiley faces some 6 times during the 109-word email that was sent. Now, Mr. Godejohn, unlike Miss Gypsy Rose, well, he remains behind bars serving a life sentence for first-degree murder and, of course, is not allowed to have contacts with Gypsy Rose. Gypsy Rose has said, well, we've all made our decisions and we need to move on. Last week, Mr. Godejohn's attorneys filed an appeal requesting a new trial. It is argued that in his last trial, he argued that his mental state did not meet the requirements for first-degree murder. Obviously, the jury disagreed, and the jury should have found him guilty of second-degree murder, according to his attorneys. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the docket, Gabrielle Maxwell is so broke, she has become her own jailhouse lawyer. That's right. She is now representing herself in court and filed legal briefs on a prison typewriter. The former socialite has been left unable to afford an attorney after paying lawyers for her criminal case, her divorce, and then years of litigation from all those guy named Jeff's victims left her what she calls now financial constraints. So in a case that she filed in the United States Virgin Islands against that guy named Jeff's estate, well, she's trying to recoup her legal fees from the 2021 criminal trial. Now, Miss Gabrielle Maxwell has been forced to submit filings through the mail since she cannot file them electronically from the federal prison in Florida, where she is serving that 20-year prison sentence for trafficking, once again, in minors. Apparently, she's been able to muddle her way through the process by doing her own filings and using the prison library resources that are available to her. She describes it as saying that she is in a technological black hole and therefore apologizes for the handwritten notes as well as the documents being on a typewriter instead of a computer. Now, this case was originally filed back in March of 2020 against the estate of that guy named Jeff, 7 months after her former lover/employer committed suicide in that Metropolitan Correctional Center detention facility. And Ms. Maxwell claims that she has incurred significant legal fees, personal security costs, and other expenses during her work for her time working for that guy named Jeff between 1999 and 2006. And Ms. Maxwell claims that that guy named Jeff, before he hung himself, allegedly, promised to pay any legal fees. And apparently this was repeated to a guy by the name of Darren Idke, who is apparently the longtime lawyer for Gabrielle Maxwell's former boss, that guy named Jeff. But guess what? That is hearsay, and it is not going to be admissible in court. But I would bet that the estate of that guy named Jeff has a few bucks. You think they'd step up and pay her bills? No, they're not. Of course not. Of course not. Anyway, Ms. Maxwell has requested a stay for more time to retain new counsel. She thinks she'll be able to do that after the criminal appeal is resolved. We'll have to wait and see. Gabrielle, it's gotten so bad, even she is becoming her own jailhouse lawyer. That's how it all starts, ladies and gentlemen.